Hey guys, welcome back to another new discussion video. I am Dazzling Kate, and today we are going into a Helluva Boss discussion, and we're mostly going to be talking about the problem with Stolas. Now, before I continue, I want you guys to know that I do not hate this character. In fact, I do find his concept pretty interesting, and I would like to honestly get more interactions between him and other characters and have it be less used with him and Blitz a lot. There's nothing wrong with that ship. I'm not saying you ship whoever you want. I just wish this character had more interactions with other characters outside his family and Blitz to kind of establish something of a character for himself, you know? But yeah, this is mostly going to be made out of my opinions and thoughts of what I think the problem is and how it formed. So yeah, if you're into that kind of thing, join me with a little drink and a little snack because this might be a fast one or a long one, so either way, let's begin. So a lot of the time, these kind of things happen in the childhood. And of course, with what happened with Stolas, he was raised only by his father, or at least he saw his father. He mostly shoved all the servants to do his, raising part. So I'm pretty sure a lot of the servants that worked for them did a lot of the raising more so than his own dad, and I can't really make much of an opinion on how his mother interacted with him, considering we've never really seen her in the series. Maybe I might have passed something by, maybe I didn't look into look into anything. So if you'd like to inform me about that, please do in the comment section right now if you could. I really appreciate it. Anyways, not only that, having the servants raise him as well as the concept of socializing, which which is really odd because I'm not saying every family is going to be this way, like every royal family, because in a lot of ways there are different approaches to socializing, because socializing would be a huge thing for rich and royal families from the many many different books I've read from a lot of these like social events, parties, that kind of thing, galas, where they would all gather, socialize, and you would imagine for someone like Stolas would kind of have some advantage of understanding socializing or putting on a mask to hide that socializing, like in social ability with a persona that can socialize. But hey, I think he kind of has one, but it's really hard to really say because there's just so much there that I want to break down into. But yeah, not only that, not only did he have to deal with with his abusive father, being raised by servants, and of course the lack of socializing, he was informed of being engaged to someone at the mere age of between 5 to 8 is my estimation, if my memory is right, that my brain isn't just fucking me over. But yeah, I would imagine being told you're engaged to somebody at the mere age of any elementary school age would kind of make you confused and worried that you're going to be stuck with this person for the rest of your life. So yeah, that kind of immediately jumps into why he most likely grew attached to Blitz immediately after he was informed of this big major decision. Because in a lot of ways, I think when people are informed of these, they would want to do the opposite, like running away with someone you really love, and I think that's where Blitz kind of comes into place and kind of just is this image that everything of Stolas's happiness is in this character because he was one of the first people who didn't force him into something. Instead it was Stolas wanting him instead. But alrighty, let's continue with the next part to go into the marriage and kid part to kind of describe his home life and just going in from there. So obviously he married Stella and had Octavia later on. We see that over over time, if we're counting in the pilot and many of the and much more. of the situations outside of the main plot. We do know that their marriage has dissolved into almost nothing from what we've noticed. Their relationship is just on the rocks, and it's definitely affected how their daughter perceives them. Like, I would imagine this would definitely be a big thing when Octavia is like maybe in her elementary school age or in her middle school age, where she kind of realizes that, you know, these characters, like, not these characters, her parents are really not interested in knowing her at all. I mean, back when she was a kid, it was most likely easier for them because they could walk around this, like, walk around certain subjects and just kind of gatekeep it as some kind of other thing, which, let's be real, that's pretty shitty. But anyways, the more we get closer to her teenage years, I would imagine that's when the fights became more frequent, as we've noticed that she is almost not really paying much attention as yeah, Stella and Stolas tend to get in a lot of fights, and she just kind of blurs out of it. Like, she's in her own little world. She doesn't want to hear all this. She just wants to not deal with it at all. So yeah, and this also leads to like a possibility that there was something else outside of Stolas's affair with Blitz that I would imagine isn't super similar, like or an affair. I mean, like I would mean more so in the lines of maybe socializing with people, or maybe he did something different that Stella didn't approve of, and since she's always looking at every little thing, one day I'll eventually get into more details about her character, but it feels like recently there's just not enough context to really deep dive into for her character, and I kind of wish we could get more details because that would make it so much more easier to understand some elements. But for now, I'm just going to assume that Stella is either very particular with how her life should be run, considering of their heritage and stuff, or of something else. But we'll one day talk about that when we find out more information. Okay, so his affair with Blitz, which this starts with Blitz after not getting his divorce. Oh my god. Lele. Oh my gosh. My mind's just like, was it called that? I don't know. My mind's just like, was it? I guess in my notes probably not. I don't know. But most likely from his obsessive watching of romance movies and reading books, he's been hoping for Blitz to return. Now, the reason why I say this is because like after he was informed that he was going to be engaged to Stella, he's had this like, particular hope. And I would imagine it would connect back to Blitz, who is one of the only people that Stolas really saw outside of, royalty families and people that his dad most likely had him talk with that wasn't like paid. Like, well, I mean, it was paid, but like I don't know, like it didn't feel like every connection had to do with his dad. Blitz was just basically a little circus kid, so obviously it's not going to really do much there. But okay, okay. But anyways, due to his higher role in society, Stolas has the advantage and the power to use Blitz as he deemed fit, using the scheduled one night of passion as payment for Blitz's usage of the book. So it's a little surprising that he didn't really connect the dots there because I think that's something I would imagine would be a very important thing to like look into. And really, it's just kind of sad when you think about it. Like, Stolas most likely was really keen and focused on this, like, romantic fairy tale like ending. Meanwhile, Blitz is seeing it from a different perspective, considering he has to do this one night of passion with Stolas every month on the full moon, and it needs to be, just how Stolas would want it, otherwise he doesn't get the book. And with that power advantage of being royalty, and with Blitz being an imp and not having any power, he only okay. It's just really crazy. I got more to talk about, but I have to go through every bit of these notes. So yeah, he only sees Blitz as a means of pleasure at first, and it later turns into a more romantic, deeper feelings kind of thing, which it does come out of nowhere, in my personal opinion. It does come out of nowhere, but analyzing what I've watched and analyzed a bit, it's just like, okay, I kind of understand where he's coming from, but again, the problem is how it's delivered within the story, and a lot of fans might think it's a little bit more sad when you really think about it. And I think that's one of the problems that we that we tend to we tend to not see every piece of the puzzle, because right now, if you look at the series right now, it's just a mess. There's like matching pieces, there's non-matching pieces, there's pieces that you don't know fits who knows where. It's just a mess. Nothing's really complete to really show what Blitz's and Stolas's relationship is. It's all just a couple of pieces that we haven't really established goes which way. So yeah, and I really hate I try to not say hate all the time, but it feels like a lot of people think Blitz is very romantically in the same level as Stolas in the relationship, even though Blitz sees Stolas's and his one night things as a business payment, not really much of a, you know, romantic night. It's just him trying his best to please him, and then he gets to use the book. There's really nothing else there other than just like what Stolas thinks. So let us continue on. So we're gonna focus on the problem between two of the characters I think, you know, is important to the situation with Stolas's character, and how it kind of robs a lot of moments or a lot of character development and improvement that we could be seeing. Now, both characters I'm going to be using is Octavia and Blitz. So, yeah, let us continue on. So, their relationship is very rocky and unstable, a lot of it due to Stolas' relationship with Stella, which, again, they are divorcing, and it's a long process, and the breakup of that is just still in the air. It's very hard when you really think about it, because not only is he breaking up with his wife of whatever many years, he's also dealing with Blitz and their relationship. And then what happens later on with them breaking up, breaking up, quotation marks around that, it's more really difficult to kind of understand where Stolas is when he's with Octavia. And yeah, it's something I'm like really surprised about. And, she's witnessed her parents argue, neither one wanting to step up and act mature, so she blames them both for not trying to be civil with each other, which I would imagine would come up in a later episode or something. I would love to see a bit more focus on Octavia bringing up the situation to her parents, just confronting them both about it. And, like, there's got to be at least one scene like that. I'm really hoping for that, and it's not just I don't know. It's like when you think about it, when Stella tried to kill Stolas with the hired hitman, it's just like, wouldn't that be just kind of weird to just imagine that one of your parents tried to kill the other through a hitman, and now you're like, why are you guys serious? Oh my goodness. Sorry, I yawned there. Anyways, And one of the moments I really dislike about Stolas's character in one of the episodes was like the Lululand one, where she dealt with hearing her father's flirt commentary towards Blitz multiple times, even when it was supposed to be about her at the theme park. And it's super fucking weird that the only, like, okay, Moxie and Blitz were both the only ones kind of just doing their job. Like, I mean, Millie was too, but what I mean is they were acting more mature adults than Stolas himself, who wanted to take his daughter to Lululand, and of course, bringing in the information of Moxie actually being more concerned. I mean, I know that was a bit of a joke, and she was just like, "Really? Seriously?" It's a little bit more concerning that a complete stranger like Moxie to Octavia is acting more of like a concerned adult than her own father is, who is too busy flirting with Blitz, who clearly is only trying to do his job. I swear, like, I agree with everyone who's brought this point up where it's like if Blitz was a girl, a woman, in this situation, and Stolas was still Stolas and giving her, like, flirty commentary, sexual advances, that kind of thing, it would be considered harassment. But no, it's totally fine because, they're gay guys. And I don't think that's fair because it really, this really, this really, really makes it seem like it's okay to do because if you're gay, it doesn't matter because you're like you're always flirty because you're gay, and it gives a bad message and impression to people, especially to younger viewers. Like, the majority of the audience, is young adults, teenagers, and I'm sure there's plenty of older adults too. I'm not saying it's just younger adults and teenagers, but most of the audience involved are most likely in that age category, okay? It gives off a false impression that this is okay. This is okay to have someone like Stolas flirt with you, even if you're not okay with it. And Blitz obviously is uncomfortable with that. But yeah, the only other thing that makes me annoyed about this is the fact that everyone tends to use her as this accessory, like accessory to kind of make Stolas look more of a victim than anything. Like, oh, he's a poor single dad and he's trying his best getting away from like his ex-wife through the divorce. He's struggling too, okay? And it's like, I get it, but it's also like, why is he making these advances towards splits? Why isn't he not trying hard enough? Like, he's got the money to, he's got the ability to, he's powerful. Like, you're telling me this man isn't trying to focus on his kid, and I get that we don't see every single moment of them together, but it's just like Octavia makes it very obvious that Stolas doesn't try enough to do so. And it's sad. It's really sad when you think about it. He's too busy living in his own mind to really give his daughter any, words of comfort, reassurance through this divorce. It's like it's it's terrible. It's unfortunately one of those things that I wish would be talked more about in the show. And again, I'm not saying this makes him such a really horrible bad character. It's with these characters, it's more of a easier approach to kind of put them in a gray area because if Stolas was super badass evil, he he wouldn't give a shit, even though he doesn't really give a shit. And I know I know there's care for his daughter within him, but it's just like I wish there were more moments where it was just about these two. It didn't go back to w- it didn't just go back to his relationship with Blitz. It was like otherwise he's just Blitz's boyfriend or lover or whatever you want to call him in this situation, considering they're not really together. But you get what I mean. It's just really sad when you think about it. But let's get on to the next one, which is Blitz's problem with Stolas. So Stolas obviously does not see Blitz as an equal, often treating him less than him. Using the names like the annoying nicknames and just making him feel uncomfortable and talking down to him. Like, does anyone remember that one scene where he's just like putting his cigar, was it a cigar or a cigarette? It doesn't matter. He's still putting it out like, on his horns. And it's like, if you did that to me, like, this is the equivalent of, like, putting it out on someone's shoulder or in their face or something, and it's like, what the hell? Like, what? We just slept together and now you're putting your, cigarette on my freaking head. What the fuck? And it's so annoying. And of course, this does lead with Blitz always dealing with his body to give Stolas what he wants so he can, do his job, as well as making sure everyone who's working for him gets to keep their job. And it's like, I'm surprised a lot of people just think, oh, they can just find more jobs, but like, really, what are they gonna be doing? What are they gonna be doing? Are they gonna be flipping fucking burgers at, like, I don't know, like Hell's freaking underworld kitchen, Burgerland? I don't know. But it's like, seeing this, I'm just like, what the hell are they like? This man is in charge of everything, of everyone's job, and you're hoping he keeps this sexual relationship up with them, even though he's not comfortable with it. It's just like, not comfortable as in with, like, the other stuff outside of the sexual relationship, but like, it's just crazy. It's just crazy, and my mind's just like going in and out, trying to figure out what to say exactly when I get to some notes, and I'm like, shit. But yeah, Stolas doesn't communicate with Blitz about their relationship status. It's like he does text him severely, and I would go through all those messages if I could, but it's just like, I feel like Stolas is more of those, like, more from what I've read, more so focused on making, like, explaining everything. Like, oh, you don't have to come over if you don't want to, or, oh, like, babe, you're pushing yourself too hard. You don't have to worry about me. But it's like, it makes me think of someone who's trying to get you to do it anyways, despite you probably, I don't know. It's just really complicated to, like, think about, you know? Mm. But yeah, it's really sad when you think about, more so, the fact that Blitz doesn't think Stolas likes him in that way and just views him as a plaything, even though in Stolas's mind, he probably thinks, Blitz and him are a serious couple to some degree, but we haven't established anything yet. We got to talk about it more. And it's like, you have the opportunity to do that, but why aren't you fixing things, like actually calling and just establishing something from that instead of texting? Because I'm sure it would have been addressed a little bit more easier, but considering how Blitz handles the phone calls, it's like, from what we've seen, how he handles them, it's like Stolas goes into these long, long perverted rambles, and Blitz just does get really grossed out by that. So I think that would be one reason why he probably stopped picking up the calls, in my personal opinion, if he was trying to call him originally. But yeah, like I said, Stolas likely lives with a rom-com in his head between him and Blitz, and expecting him to play the part of a romantic partner. Again, pushing this narrative that he needs to be this romantic partner for Stolas, that he needs to be, the guy he needs to save him from this evil Stella woman wife that he doesn't want to be with anymore. It's like he's pushing this thing that he's had on, like had on his mind for many decades onto Blitz, who's just trying to do his job, and it's like, nah, nah, nah. But if he really did find Blitz to be a romantic partner outside of sex, why didn't he just expand the possibility of that through a date or a relationship by telling him straight on? He doesn't, mostly out of fear. And lack of social skills, which again, this is me bringing up the antisocial behaviors that we see from Stolas living within his mind, too busy with his job, as well as just not wanting to communicate with Blitz on a level, because I'm sure in their little royal family, they probably have already established some kind of like way that they think that they've communicated with someone, even though they fully didn't communicate with said person. But yeah, the romantic feelings just came out of left field, and it's just like we're supposed to accept it, and like I don't know. I would have loved for them to actually show Stolas slowly getting into Blitz like that. Like, oh, I kind of like it when he talks about his hobbies or about his job. But there's some interest, but it's just not enough to really say, yeah, I love him outside of like, sex, outside of the idea of him being mine. Like, does he not see Blitz as a person in general? Does he just see him as a plaything? And it most likely seems that way. And it's not like he can't come out of this on the right side. It's just really difficult. But to end this video, the question of it is, will it get any better? And I'm sure it probably could if there's like more communication. Stolas needs to definitely acknowledge these things, like these happenings, to improve his life and situation. Because if he doesn't, it's just like, well, what is he going to do now? Like, if he can't learn to improve his social skills with other people, which I'm hoping after this he does get more friends outside of, like, his royal family's friends and family, so he can kind of build a life outside of just being a prince, outside of just being Stella's husband, outside of just being Octavia's dad. It's something that needs to be established, and we've seen plenty of different things that kind of help build that character up. It's just a matter of fact of just trying to show it when it's appropriate to show it. I feel like the writers probably were trying to implement that in some ways, but maybe it got scrapped somewhere in between seasons, because it feels so random to just now be in love with like Blitz out of nowhere. Like I get it. It all came all the way back from his childhood to build into this like romantic rom-com like fantasy in his head that he just established by himself. I get it. There's plenty of people I've met who kind of build these thoughts and then they have to think about it through. But okay. Anyway, but the other thing I think would be better is if he moved on to someone else, as I don't really think a relationship between him and Blitz is plausible, like romantic or love-wise. Maybe as good friends, but that's just really it. I think most people just need to have is a good friend. But anyways, guys, hopefully you enjoyed that. And if you did, and if you are new here, please like and comment and subscribe to the channel. It would mean the world to me. And again, stay safe, stay cool, and most importantly, guys, stay hydrated. This is Dazzling Kate, signing the hell out of here.